The next guest on today's program is a Portland City Commissioner who posted this on his Facebook page last week. I want to read it to you. Last weekend, there was gut-wrenching violence in our city. Children were shot and a mother died. Protesters were shot and killed. There was a fatal officer-involved shooting. We have a public safety crisis, and Portlanders are very frustrated. I will continue to support growing our public safety system and support the officers working tirelessly to rein in the chaos and violence. There is a lot to talk about when it comes to the gun violence we continue to experience in Portland. On Thursday, I talked one-on-one with Commissioner Mingus Mapps. With me now is Portland City Commissioner Mingus Mapps. And Commissioner, thank you for agreeing to come on the program.
Glad to be here.
Let's talk about, I just read to our viewers the statement you posted on your Facebook page regarding the gun violence that took place in Portland last weekend. You said we have a public safety crisis. Do you and the other city commissioners have a solid plan to address this public safety crisis?
Well, we have a plan. I think that there's still work that needs to be done. I think the violence that we saw over the weekend does, as you mentioned, remind us that we are facing a public safety crisis. You know, last year we had 90 homicides. Right now we are on track to have more than 90 homicides in the year 2022. That really underscores the importance of this city council coming together to develop a comprehensive and urgent plan to intervene and stop the violence.
What kinds of strategies are you talking about? You know, what? Because people, they hear this and they go, okay, well, I know they're working on something, but what exactly are you thinking about to reduce some of this violence?
Sure. Well, I can't speak for every office, but let me tell you what my office is thinking about. First, I think it's very important that we partner with the community to bring down gun violence. I believe over the course of the next couple of days, you will see the Old Town Chinatown Community Association come forward with a public safety plan. I've taken a look at that plan and I support it, and I'll be working with that community to implement it. And then on the other side of the river, we have East Portland Neighbors, which has also unveiled a public safety plan. I look forward to partnering with them to make that a reality. Now, the challenges we face downtown are different from the challenges that we face in East Portland, but you know, we got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. Now, in terms of specific things that we can do, you know, we need to continue to support and roll out our focused intervention team. These are the cops that focus specifically on gun violence. They've been out there doing amazing work for a couple of months now, but they haven't bent the curve yet. I also think that there's some common sense things that we can do to make it easier for people and businesses to keep their spaces secure. So, you know, I think the city needs to put in better lighting. I think we need to make it easier for businesses and storefronts to install pull-down grates. You know, I, as the commissioner in charge of the Bureau of Emergency Communications, need to do a better job of picking up those 911 calls within 15 seconds. We also, I think, need to hire at least 22 unarmed police officers. The good thing about that is, number one, we have that money in the budget, and number two, we can onboard those folks in a matter of months, whereas it takes us, frankly, years to onboard a police officer. And also, I'd like to partner with our with the county to work with the district attorney's office to reestablish the neighborhood prosecutors program so that we can really begin to hold people accountable when they commit crimes.
I think that's important, because I think a lot of folks don't think there's much accountability, and that's why some of this continues. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely would. To be fair, you know, I know our police bureau is overwhelmed, as is our 911 bureau, but it's also true with the district attorney's office. I believe they have to do some triage of the kinds of cases that they actually take to court. At this point, they are just taking the most heinous crimes to court. And thank goodness they're doing that. However, there are all sorts of violent crimes and property crimes that really need to be prosecuted, and frankly, at this moment, are not being prosecuted.
Do you agree with the way the Portland Police Bureau is handling this public safety crisis right now?
I think they're doing the best they can. The folks over there work awfully hard under extreme conditions with an inadequate number of staff people. For a city of our size, you'd expect us to have about 1,200 police officers. As of this week, I think we're down to like 789 police officers. We are radically understaffed, and at the same time, violent crime in Portland is increasing exponentially. It's unacceptable. This really has to be an all hands on deck, top priority moment for us to stop the violence. If we don't stop the violence, number one, it's very much a public health crisis. Or a forest fire, once it gets going, it continues to consume our community and burn hotter. We need to do everything we can to actually begin to contain this.
What do you say to Portlanders who at this point are just, some are afraid to leave their homes, day and night? What do you say to them?
I feel your frustration. I share your fear. We all live in the same town. I want to assure you that I think every member of council takes this problem seriously. I think we're engaging with this problem with a focus and a commitment that we've never seen from council before. Last year, I challenged my colleagues on council to do everything that we can to bring down homicides in Portland by 20% this year. And I still think that we can get there, but it will require the city to work closely with the community, our intergovernmental partners, and the police bureau to get that done.
Last weekend, 2 mass shootings in Portland left 2 people dead and 8 people injured.
Yeah.
It was days, Commissioner, before we actually saw and heard in person from some of Portland's city leaders. There were some texts back and forth, but not a lot on camera. I know there wasn't a lot of information at first, but the Portlanders, they need to hear from their leaders in a time of crisis. Would you agree with that?
I completely agree with that. I think that part of doing better on public safety is for the city to show some leadership and some accountability. I think when times are tough, that's when elected leaders in particular need to be present before the public, explaining what's going on and what the next steps will be.
Portland City Commissioner Mingus Mapps, you always appreciate your time. I'll tell you, you always make yourself available no matter the topic, and I can't say that about everybody, so thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you for helping tell Portland's story.
Hey, you bet. Thank you, Commissioner. And other city commissioners to come on this program to address Portland's public safety crisis. We hope to have their interviews for you in the near future.